At 7:42 a.m. on April 6, 2003, Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Donk Strasburger realizes he's about to do something that violates every safety protocol in the Air Force manual. Below him, somewhere in the swirling brown hell of the sandstorm that swallowed Baghdad, American soldiers are dying. His radio crackles with the voice of his friend, and the desperation in it makes the decision for him. Donk, if they cross that bridge, we're dead. All of us. Strasburger looks at his wingman, Captain Greg, Billy Bob Thornton. Through the canopy, he can see Billy Bob's helmet turn toward him. No words needed. They've flown together long enough to communicate with a nod. Strasburger rolls his A-10 Thunderbolt inverted and pushes the stick forward. The altimeter spins backward as they dive into visibility measured in feet, not miles. Every instrument screams warnings. Every regulation says turn back. Neither pilot hesitates. If you want to see how Strasburger's unauthorized dive into zero visibility turned out, please hit that like button. It helps us share more forgotten stories. Subscribe if you haven't already. Back to Donk. 3,000 feet below, First Lieutenant John Coke Blotcher crouches behind a concrete barrier at the Muthanna Bridge. He's an A-10 pilot, not infantry, but right now he's holding a rifle and trying not to die. Task Force 269 has been fighting for 11 straight hours. They're out of water, low on ammunition. And the 1st Iraqi Republican Guard Armored Division has decided this is the moment to cross the Tigris River and end this. T-72 tanks line the eastern bank, their 125 guns hammering the American position with methodical precision. Each impact sends chunks of concrete and steel screaming through the air. Blotcher counts 7 tanks, then 9. Then he stops counting because Iraqi infantry are coming out of the buildings now, using the sandstorm as cover. Muzzle flashes strobe through the brown haze like lightning. He keys his radio. Donk, we need you now. I mean right now. In the background of the transmission, Strasburger hears overlapping explosions, the crack of rifle fire, someone screaming for a medic. He's pushing his Warthog through the storm at 320 knots, 10 feet above a city he can barely see. Buildings materialize from the brown murk with less than a second's warning. His wingman flies 30 feet to his left, close enough that one wrong move puts them both in the ground. The Tigris appears below, a dark ribbon cutting through the chaos. Strasburger banks hard to follow it north, his wingtips clearing rooftops by margins his flight instructor would call suicidal. Billy Bob matches every move, the 2 aircraft locked in formation like they're connected by wire. I confirm no friendlies east of the bridge. Blotcher's transmission comes through between bursts from his rifle. He's shooting at shapes in the storm, calling coordinates for airstrikes, and bleeding from shrapnel that hit him somewhere in the last 10 minutes. He hasn't had time to check where. The bridge emerges from the murk 500 yards ahead. Strasburger pulls back on the stick, and his A-10 roars over the battlefield at 200 feet. The sound is physical, a shockwave that rattles windows and stops the Iraqi advance for exactly 3 seconds. There's planes. Someone shouts on the ground. Nobody knows if it's an American or Iraqi voice. Strasburger cranes his neck, searching for targets through the storm. He needs to mark the position so Blotcher can confirm he's attacking the right location. Fratricide is a bullet you can never call back. He selects his smoke rockets and lines up for another pass. That's when the Iraqis start shooting back. 23mm anti-aircraft cannons open up from 3 positions, sending curtains of tracers through the sandstorm. The rounds are visible as glowing lines that arc upward, seeming to move slowly until they scream past the canopy at supersonic speed. One burst passes close enough that Strasburger can hear the impacts over his engine noise. Close enough to smell the cordite. He holds his course, lines up the bridge, pulls the trigger, nothing happens. The rocket pods are dead, malfunction, no time to diagnose. The bridge is rushing at him at 300 feet per second, and he can see the muzzle flashes of tanks now, the dark shapes of BMPs moving toward the water. Strasburger does what every A-10 pilot is trained never to do. He punches the flare release. and dumps his entire load of decoy flares across the riverbank, turning countermeasures designed to save his life into an improvised targeting marker. He yanks the stick right, the G-forces crushing him into his seat as he skims over buildings with his landing gear nearly clipping television antennas. Anti-aircraft fire follows him across the sky. I do see the tanks. I request clearance in when able. Through the storm, Blotcher sees the flares burning orange against the brown haze. He knows Strasburger just marked his own position with the only thing between him and a heat-seeking missile. Donk, you're clear to engage. Strasburger comes around for his second pass, this time with his GAU-8 Avenger cannon selected. The weapon holds 1,174 rounds of 30 ammunition, each one capable of punching through tank armor. The Iraqi gunners track him through the storm, their hand-cranked weapons swinging desperately to follow the jet engine roar. Tracers fill the air, several pass within feet of his cockpit. Strasburger doesn't flinch. He puts his reticle on a BMP charging for the bridge and pulls the trigger. The GAU-8 fires at 3,900 rounds per minute with a sound like a demonic foghorn. The BMP disintegrates, torn apart by depleted uranium shells moving at 3,500 feet per second. Strasburger screams overhead, pulling 7 GS as he climbs away through columns of anti-aircraft fire. His instrument panel explodes with warning lights. For 3 seconds, Strasburger thinks he's been hit, thinks he's flying a dying aircraft over enemy territory in zero visibility. He forces himself to breathe, to check systems methodically while tracers chase him through the sky. The engines are good, no fuel leaks, control surface is responding. Then he sees it. His head-up display is dark. The ballistics computer is completely dead. Without it, he's aiming a 13 cannon by pure instinct. Billy Bob, you're up. Thornton doesn't waste time responding. He rolls his A, inverted, and dives through the storm, following the Tigris north at maximum speed. The battlefield resolves from the haze, and he puts his crosshairs on a T-72 main battle tank firing across the river. He pulls the trigger and walks his fire across the tank's roof armor. Sparks shower as depleted uranium meets steel. Then the tank erupts, ammunition cooking off in a fireball that punches through the storm. Got that sucker on the west edge of the circle, boss. Strasburger is manually rebooting his ballistics computer, but it's not responding. He still has an iron sight backup, a simple crosshair without any computer assistance. His aim will be off by margins that matter. But below him, his friend is fighting for his life with a rifle while tanks roll toward his position. Going in. He dives back into the maelstrom. Tracers arc past his canopy close enough to see individual rounds tumbling through the air. Multiple targets appear through the haze. He holds his iron sight high to compensate for the computer's death and pulls the trigger. The cannon roars. 30mm shells tear through earth and metal. He has no idea if he hit anything. Billy Bob is already inbound for his second pass. He spots another T-72 through the smoke of the first, plus anti-aircraft guns, supply trucks, infantry positions. The anti-aircraft gun is the threat to him personally, but every tank round that crosses the river could kill Americans. He makes the hard choice, targets the second T-72, pulls the trigger. The tank explodes so violently that the blast wave rocks Billy Bob's aircraft. He pulls up through the fireball, his canopy momentarily turning orange. Hey boss, I'm revising bingo down by 500 pounds. Strasburger has just recalculated their fuel in his head while dodging anti-aircraft fire. They can stay 5 more minutes if they accept the risk of landing on fumes. He doesn't hesitate. Revised bingo approved. Billy Bob rolls in for his third pass, tracking up the river at 280 knots. He knows where the targets are now, knows where the anti-aircraft fire comes from. What he doesn't see is the Iraqi soldier on a rooftop with a MANPAD, a shoulder-fired surface-to-air missile. The missile launches, tracking the heat signature of Billy Bob's engines. It loses lock at the last second and screams past his left wing, missing by less than 3 feet. Billy Bob's heart stops. He brakes right, abandoning the run, gasping into his oxygen mask. For 5 seconds he can't make himself turn back. Then he does. The fourth pass destroys the supply trucks. The fifth, Strasburger, fires a Maverick missile through conditions that make targeting nearly impossible, destroying another BMP. The sixth and seventh passes take out both anti-aircraft positions, Billy Bob threading tracers that fill the sky like angry fireflies. Coke, we're at bingo. Copy. Guys down here send their regards. Drinks are on me when you get home. Strasburger and Thornton limp back to base after 40 minutes of continuous combat in conditions that should have killed them. Task Force 269 suffers minimal casualties. 0 armored vehicles lost. The bridge holds. Both pilots received the Silver Star. Blotcher got the Bronze Star and Air Force Commendation Medal of Valor. They all survived the war. And on April 6, 2003, in a sandstorm over Baghdad, they proved that sometimes the most important mission is the one you're not supposed to fly. If this story moved you the way it moved us, hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What forgotten story should we tell next?